chosen one. There is something most people never learn about the tests they have been given, and it explains everything about the last season of your life. The universe does not test you at the level you have already lived. It tests you at the level above, at the level you are being qualified to carry. That is why the last chapter felt so different from anything before it. That is why it asked for something no earlier version of you could have given. That is why the people around you were not in that room, because they were not being measured for what is on the other side of those tests. And here is what very few people ever hear. Not perfectly, not without falling, but you passed every one of those tests completely. You stayed when the exit was right there. You answered yes when the yes felt like it was being spoken into empty air. You held on to something you could not see and could not explain to anyone in your life. And that holding quiet, private, costly, is exactly what the qualifying tests were measuring. The version of you that was being formed in that season is now ready to be revealed. And the level that only that kind of staying could unlock, it just opened. Today I want to show you what was built in you, and what you are now standing at the edge of. Everything I share in this message is given freely. If at any point something I reference speaks to where you are, and you want to go further, the link is waiting for you in the description below. Now let us begin. Before I go any deeper, I want to tell you what you will carry with you by staying through to the very end of this message. You are going to understand the exact name for the process that has been running through the last chapter of your life, and why it matters more than you currently know. You are going to hear 5 specific signs that confirm you are standing at a threshold most people never reach. And I am going to share something practical and grounded in real science that I believe will change the way you move forward from this point. Stay with this. The end matters as much as the beginning. I want you to picture a specific kind of morning, not a dramatic one, not the morning of a loud turning point or a visible breakthrough. I am talking about the quiet kind, the kind where you opened your eyes and nothing around you had changed. The weight you had been carrying was still there. The question you had been sitting with was still unanswered. And yet some quiet, stubborn part of you chose to keep going anyway. Not because the evidence said to. Not because someone beside you was cheering you forward. But because something deeper than logic would not let you quit. You may not have called it anything at the time, but I want to call it exactly what it was. It was you, in that ordinary and unglamorous moment, passing a test that most people around you had already stopped sitting for. A test you did not know you were in. Inside a room you did not know was a qualification chamber. In a season you did not know was preparing you for a level you had not yet seen. That is where we begin. And before I explain what that season was building, I want to name something first, because there are specific signs that appear in the life of someone who is completing this kind of qualifying season. If you have been experiencing more than 2 or 3 of what I am about to describe, I want you to hear me clearly. You are exactly who this message is addressed to. The first one is something most people dismiss as exhaustion. Your sleep has not been the same. There is a restlessness before dawn, waking at specific hours you cannot always account for, with a sense that something is moving, even when nothing visible in your life has confirmed it yet. Not the kind of tiredness that comes from staying up late or working too hard. Something deeper and quieter than that. A pull in the early hours that has no clear source, but carries the feeling that a shift is coming, that something is preparing itself, even though you cannot name what it is yet. This is not a sleep problem. This is your internal compass, recalibrating for altitude you are about to inhabit. The second sign is that your tolerance has shifted. Environments, conversations, spaces that once felt comfortable now feel draining in a way you cannot quite put into words. The people around you are doing the same things they have always done, but something in you no longer fits inside those spaces the way it once did. And you may have wondered if something is wrong with you, if you have become difficult or withdrawn or ungrateful. I want to tell you clearly, That is not what is happening. You are becoming discerning. You are being naturally separated from what does not belong at the level you are moving toward. The third sign is a creative restlessness that does not quite have an object yet. A pull to build something, make something, express something, but you cannot always name what it is. It sits in you like a word on the tip of your tongue that will not come forward. You find yourself reaching toward things you have not done before, thinking in directions that feel new and slightly unfamiliar, carrying this sense that something inside you is trying to find its way out. This is not distraction. This is the frequency of the level ahead, trying to find its expression through you before the door has fully opened. The fourth sign, your dreams have gotten more specific, more directional. You wake from them carrying something, a feeling, a clarity, a sense of certainty that fades too quickly but leaves an impression you cannot shake. These are not ordinary dreams cycling through daily noise. They carry the quality of information, not just imagery. And they have been getting more specific because you have been getting more specific. And the fifth sign is timing. You are noticing it too consistently now to call it coincidence. A word someone says to you at the exact moment you needed to hear that specific word. A person who arrives in your path without explanation at a moment that makes too much sense to be random. A phrase you encounter in 3 completely unrelated places within a single week. This is not you searching for meaning because you want to believe. This is the pattern becoming visible because you have become sensitive enough to see what was always there. And what brought all 5 of these signs into your life at once was a sequence, a deliberate, layered sequence running through the last chapter of your journey without announcing itself. You were tested when the relationship ended before you understood why, and the silence that followed asked if you would still trust the direction you had been moving in. You were tested when the door you had prayed over closed quietly, without ceremony, and asked whether your faith lived in the outcome or in something that ran deeper than any outcome. You were tested when the silence stretched so long that asking when it would end stopped feeling like hope and started feeling like it was simply the wrong question. You were tested when the people around you moved forward in ways that made your own stillness feel like being left behind, and the real question became whether you would abandon the lane you were in or trust that standing still in the right place is not the same as going nowhere. You were tested when staying required more from you than you had left on that specific day, and you stayed anyway. Those were not random seasons of difficulty, they were checkpoints, and you passed every single one. But knowing that you passed is only the first layer of what I want to show you today. The more important question, the one I want to turn to right now, is not whether you passed. It is what the passing built inside you, and that is where this goes much deeper. If those 5 signs resonated, if something in you shifted when I named them, type 555 inches, the comments right now, not for a number, but as the moment you acknowledge what you have actually been carrying. Do it for yourself. Let me tell you what those tests were actually building in you, because most people never hear this part with enough specificity to let it land. The first thing the tests built is a foundation that cannot be counterfeited. Stability, real, load-bearing stability, does not form by reading about it or watching someone else walk through hardship. It forms under actual pressure, in actual uncertainty, over actual time. The kind of groundedness you now carry, the kind that does not collapse when the ground moves, came from seasons where the ground was moving and you learned to stand on it anyway. The second thing is discernment. A precision of inner knowing that most people simply do not have access to. The tests removed everything that did not belong at the next level. The relationships that could not bear the weight of what was coming. The versions of yourself that no longer fit the direction you were heading. What remains after that kind of clearing is not a loss. It is what is real. And the third thing, perhaps the most rare, is authentic authority. Not the kind that comes from position or credentials or having the right people in your corner, the kind that comes from having been in the room, the kind of weight in a person's presence that does not need to announce itself because it is simply there. That kind of authority cannot be purchased or performed. It can only be formed. And it was formed in you. There is a Hebrew word I want to give you, because it changed the way I understood everything I had been through. The word is bachan. In the original Hebrew, the language of the oldest texts, this word is used specifically to describe the way a metal refiner examines gold. The refiner does not apply heat to damage what he is working with. He applies heat to discover what is actually inside the material. He is pressing it, exposing it to specific conditions that reveal its true composition, what is real, what is pure, what can carry the demands of its actual purpose. And in those ancient texts, when the divine tests a person, the same word is used. Not a different word for punishment, not a separate word for suffering or trial, the exact same word as the refiner and his gold. Bachan. What this means, if you let it fully land, is that the tests you walked through were never acts of judgment. They were acts of discovery. The divine was pressing the material of who you are to find out what was inside. And what the Bachan process found in you, what came through every form of heat the last season applied, is exactly what qualifies you for what is waiting on the other side of where you now stand. And through every single pressure point of that process, you showed what you were made of. Not in the easy moments. Anyone shows up in the easy moments, but in the ones that asked for something real. When the certainty dissolved, and the direction went quiet, and the rational thing would have been to turn around, and you stayed. When the people around you did not understand what you were carrying, and the loneliness of that was genuine and heavy, and you stayed. When your own mind built the case against you, argued that the calling was not real, that you had misread everything, that it was time to be reasonable, and you stayed. When the evidence ran out completely, and all you had left was something you could not prove to a single person in your life, and you stayed. The Bachan process tested everything it could reach in you, and everything it found passed. I want to tell you about a woman whose story carries something yours needs to hear. Her name was Esther, and before she became the version of herself that history remembered, she walked through a sequence of tests that looked, from the outside, like nothing but loss. She lost her parents young. She was taken from everything familiar and placed inside a structure she had not chosen. She navigated a world that did not speak her language in the ways that mattered most. She was living inside someone else's timeline, waiting for a chapter she could not yet see the beginning of. And here is what I want you to notice about that season of her life. No one was narrating it as preparation. No one stood beside her and said, "This is the qualification round. This is the room where the level is being determined." She simply walked through it, faithfully, without knowing where it was pointing. And what it was pointing toward was an appointment she could never have stood in as anyone other than the person those tests had built her to be. I will finish her story in the next part of this message. But for now, I want you to sit with the shape of it, because it is very close to the shape of yours. Before I continue, I want to mention something briefly. The science I am going to share later in this message connects to what Dr. Robert Lake spent decades researching and mapping, and his work covers far more ground than any single conversation can hold. Today we begin with the first piece of what that research reveals, that is coming. And if what you have heard so far, if the Bachan process, if Esther's story, if those 5 signs shifted something in how you see the last chapter of your life, let that be known, not for a number. Because someone else standing at the same threshold tonight needs this to find them. I want to pause here for just a moment before we go further. Because since the beginning of this message, there is something I have been aware of. Something that exists specifically at the intersection of everything we have been building here and what science has been quietly confirming for decades. There is a tool. An audio-based tool built around what happens in the brain at the moment. A season like the one you walked through reaches its completion point. The research behind it is real and grounded in serious neuroscience, and the tool itself is designed to work with what your brain is already beginning to do as you move into this new chapter. It is called the Genius Song. I will come back to it in much more depth in the next part of this message and explain exactly how it connects to everything we have been discussing here. For now, I just wanted you to know it exists. The link to learn more is in the description below whenever you are ready. Now let me continue, because what comes next changes the meaning of everything you have heard so far. But here is what I have not told you yet, and it is the piece that makes everything from this first part snap into place. The tests you passed did not only build something in you, they pointed you towards something. And the question that carries us forward is this: what does the level that just opened actually look like from the inside? Because it is not what most people imagine when they hear the word breakthrough. And if you do not understand what you are now standing in, you may walk right through it without recognizing what you are carrying. That answer is coming, and it is worth staying for. Chosen one, welcome back. We stopped at a question, and the answer to that question is what this second part is entirely built around. What does the level that just opened actually look like from the inside? That is where we are going now. If you made it here, if you stayed through everything in the first part, type "I'm still here" in the comments right now. It is a small thing, but it is a declaration. And, as you are about to see, declarations carry more weight than most people have ever given them credit for. Now, let us go deeper. We left Esther at the beginning of her story. Let me bring you to the moment that makes it relevant to yours. After all the invisible years, after all the faithfulness inside a life, she had not chosen a specific appointment opened, one that no one else in that entire kingdom could have filled. Not because she was the most powerful person available or the most visible, but because of exactly what she had walked through to arrive at that moment. And what was asked of her at that appointment was this: walk through a door that, by the law of that land, meant death for anyone who entered it uninvited. She was being asked to risk everything she had survived for in order to step into what she had survived for. And she passed. She walked through. The level on the other side, the appointment that every invisible year had been qualifying her for, was an entire people saved. A name carried across all of history. A life that could only have been accessed by the person those tests had built her to be. Her story is not alone in that pattern. Ruth walked a similar arc, displaced, faithful, committed to a path that offered her nothing visible for a long season. And that faithfulness, in the overlooked and unglamorous chapters, set in motion a story far larger than anything she could have seen from inside it. Now, I want to give you a second Hebrew word, because this one reshaped the way I understood what direction the tests were actually moving in. The word is Allah. In Hebrew, Allah means to go up, to ascend. It is the root of the word aliyah, the going up, the ascent. And here is what the ancient language reveals. The tests given to those in their defining seasons are always designed to move in the direction of Allah, upward. Every single one of them, even the ones that felt like they were pressing you down, even the ones that felt like they were taking rather than giving. Every test woven through the season you walked through had an Allah embedded in its design. It was an ascent call. What felt like going nowhere was a vertical climb experienced from the inside. And here is how you know this is true. A mountain is not felt as ascent when you are mid-climb. You feel the incline. You feel the pressure of ground that keeps rising. The summit only becomes visible when you arrive at it. And you have arrived. Every test you survived was calling you upward, even the ones that pressed you to the floor. Every test you survived was building altitude inside you that no shortcut in the world could have reached. Every test you survived was clearing out every version of yourself that could not handle the pressure of the level ahead. Every test you survived, the long ones, the silent ones, the invisible ones that no one around you could fully see, was Allah. It was always your ascent. From the very beginning of the very first test, it was always pointing you up. But I want to be honest with you about something, because this is the part that most messages skip, and it matters. When a level opens, when the tests complete, and the door begins to move, not everyone walks through it. And the reason is almost never what people think it is. It is not lack of desire. It is not unworthiness. The reason most people hesitate at the open door is that the nervous system, after a long season of surviving, has been calibrated for one thing: survival. Openness, inhabiting a new level, being visible at a new altitude, receiving without having to earn it first, feels genuinely unfamiliar to a system that has been running on high alert for a long time. The fear you may feel when you look at the open door, the resistance, the "what if I am not actually ready" voice that is not truth speaking. That is, your nervous system adjusting to altitude it has never experienced before. That is not a flaw. That is the final layer of the process. Your body is catching up to where your spirit already qualified. And I hear the divine saying over you right now, the door is not going to close. You do not have to rush. You do not have to earn your way in again. You qualified, and the door is yours. Stay with me. Before this message closes, and I will close it with something I believe will stay with you long after today, there is one more thing I want to show you. The deepest truth in everything we have been building here. The one that makes the signs, the Bahan, the Allah, all of it snap into a single clear picture. What I am about to share is the reason this message found you. Here is the deepest truth. The level that opened in your life is not a location outside of you. It is not a new set of circumstances waiting to arrive from somewhere else. It is not a gift that will be handed to you once the right conditions assemble. The level that opened is you, fully revealed. The version of you that the last season was building, forged through the Bachan, shaped through the Allah, formed through every staying and every choosing to hold on when holding on cost everything. That version is here now, ready to be known, ready to operate, ready to inhabit what was always its natural altitude. You did not just pass the tests. You became the person who could carry what was on the other side. You are not approaching the new level. You are the new level. And that changes everything about how you move forward from this moment. What felt like isolation was actually formation. What felt like rejection was actually selection. You were being separated from what could not survive the altitude ahead. What felt like silence was actually calibration, your frequency being refined for something that required precision. What felt like the end was actually the examination room, and you were through it before you understood you were being assessed. What felt like being left behind was actually being moved to the front of a line you could not yet see, while the people who seemed to be moving faster were simply heading toward a different destination. Everything in the first part of this message was leading to this single truth. The 5 signs, not random. The Bakan process, not punishment. The Allah, direction, not hope, but established fact. Esther's invisible years, Ruth's faithfulness in the overlooked chapters, all of it was the same pattern dressed in different clothing. The tests were always, at every layer, revealing who you already were. Not building something foreign, not installing something you lacked, revealing what was already inside and what the pressure made undeniable. You were always this person. The season just removed everything that was obscuring it. You are not someone who is about to become ready. You are someone who already became and is now being revealed. You are not waiting for access to this level. You are this level. You are not at the beginning of a transformation. You are at the beginning of a revelation. And I want to give you something I think you may need to hear. You are allowed to step through the door. You are allowed to receive what's staying built in you without needing to justify it to anyone. You are allowed to inhabit this altitude without making yourself smaller so that the people around you are more comfortable with the change they are seeing. The tests are complete. The qualification is done. The entrance is yours, and you do not have to explain it. And I hear the source declaring over you in this moment. What I formed in you, in the long, quiet seasons, was not built to stay hidden. What I built in you through the tests was not built for you to carry in silence forever. This is your time. The door is open. Step through. If your spirit confirmed that if something in you shifted when those words landed, type, "I am ready" in the comments right now. Not as a wish, as a declaration of fact, because it is. Let me pause here, right here, with you, before we continue. You have been carrying this message carefully for a while now. And before I share something specific and practical that I want you to take from this, I want to give you a moment that has nothing to receive in it. Just take a breath, a real one, slow, all the way in. Let whatever surface you are resting on hold your full weight for a second. Nothing to reach for right now, nothing to figure out. Just one breath in, and let it out without hurrying it. And now let us continue, because what comes next is where this message moves, in a very concrete direction. The reason you have always felt different, the reason this message resonated in a way that other content simply does not, is not a coincidence of personality or wishful thinking. It is because you were born operating in a specific brain frequency, a state that science has a name for, and that the modern world has been quietly suppressing in most people since childhood. Before I tell you about the tool that Dr. Lake built around this, let me give you the context his research established. A research team at Stanford mapped exactly what happens to that frequency over the course of a human lifetime. Their findings aligned with parallel research from MIT, Princeton, and several other leading institutions across decades of work. What they documented is this: children are born with natural access to the gamma frequency, the brainwave state associated with intuition, accelerated learning, deep creativity, and what the researchers describe as a sense of synchronistic flow, where the right things arrive at the right moment with a consistency that cannot be explained by chance alone. But a process the scientists named the decline effect begins quietly around age 7. The accumulated weight of educational systems designed for standardization, environments that condition people toward conformity and smallness, experiences that gradually teach the brain to stay safe rather than stay open. All of it presses gamma quieter year by year, until most adults are operating with almost no access to the state their brain was born in. The gap that creates the sense that things are harder than they used to be, that the clarity you had as a younger person is no longer available the way it once was. That gap has both a name and a solution that Dr. Robert Lake spent 34 years developing. I want to tell you about someone who found the genius song, the way thoughtful people approach most new things with honest skepticism and a real track record of sincere effort. She was in her late 30s. Years of searching spiritual practices, retreats, every authentic avenue that offered even partial results. The connection she had been reaching toward had arrived in glimpses, but never fully, never completely, never in a way she could sustain. She came to the genius song at a point where she was close to deciding the tool she needed simply did not exist. 2 weeks of listening later, she reached out with one word to describe what had shifted: synchronicities. The world, she said, had started speaking in a language she finally understood. The kind of timing she had been reaching for through all the years of searching had arrived not through effort, but through alignment. What Dr. Lake built, the body of work I mentioned earlier when I said his research goes far beyond what any single message can contain, begins exactly here. The genius song is the first door in a sequence his decades of work have fully mapped. And today, you are standing at that door. If part of you is wondering whether a 7-minute audio can reach what years of sincere practice could not quite touch, I want to speak to that directly. This does not replace the path you have walked. It works because of it. The tests cleared what needed clearing. The Bakan pressed out what could not survive. This tool completes the activation that the season already began in you. The very altitude the Allah was pointing you toward. The genius song is built to meet you there. Let me walk you through what it costs to access the gamma state through conventional means, so you understand what has been made available here. A monthly subscription to a meditation or mindfulness app, around $15. An online course in cognitive and frequency work with real substance, typically $100 to $200. A single session with a therapist focused on the brain and nervous system, around $150. Biofeedback sessions targeting brainwave states, specifically approximately $300 per session, and meaningful results require multiple visits across weeks. A weekend spiritual alignment retreat, $400 to $800 for a few days. None of these are targeting gamma directly. None are built around what the Stanford and MIT research confirmed about the specific entrainment frequency the science identified. Dr. Robert Lake compressed 34 years of that research into a 7-minute audio track. The original price is $49 already, a fraction of any conventional alternative. For those who have found this message, the price has been brought to $39. Not as a promotion, because Dr. Lake designed this specifically to reach the people who are ready, and he did not want cost to be the barrier for them. With that investment come 4 additions at no extra charge. An audio track calibrated for children before the decline effect has had time to settle in, valued at $19 on its own. The original sourcebook that the film The Secret drew its core material from $20. A 22-minute guided visualization walking through 4 areas of your life simultaneously, $29. And a practical guide to the 5 daily habits of those who have successfully maintained gamma activation over time, $12. That is $80 of additional resources included. And if, after 90 days of listening, you have not found what you came for, you keep every single one of those bonuses. No conditions and no returns required. Here is something worth sitting with. The fact that the genius song is being placed in front of you at the exact moment a level in your life is opening is not separate from this message. It is the continuation of it. The tests completed, the door opened, and now the tool that works with what your brain is already beginning to do is available. That timing is not accidental. When you are ready, the link is in the description below. Before you search anywhere else, the Genius Song is only available through the official link in the description and the pinned comment below. The specific brain entrainment encoding that makes the frequency work is only present in the original recording. When you are ready, the Genius Song is there. Description link, pinned comment. Whenever you choose. Let me bring everything together in plain terms before we close. What you learned in this message, the last season, was not a mistake or a punishment. It was a deliberate qualification sequence, the Bachan process, designed to test you specifically at the level above where you were living. The 5 signs we named confirm that the sequence is complete. What it built in you is concrete, a foundation that cannot be faked, a precision of discernment, and authentic authority that came from being in the room. And the level that opened is not outside you waiting for circumstances to arrange themselves. It is you, now fully visible. Here is the practical piece to take forward. Every decision you make from this point is coming from one of 2 questions. The first sounds like this: what do I need to do to get through this? That is the survival question. The question of someone still mid-test. The second sounds like this: what do I want to build from here? That is the arrival question. Notice which question your next decision is coming from. Then choose from the second one. That is what this level asks of you now. In your mind right now, wherever you are, without moving, I want you to do something simple. Let your awareness travel back to the image we opened with, the door. The ordinary door with light coming through the edges. You have been standing at it this entire message. In your mind, reach out and rest your hand on the frame. Let it be real. Feel the weight of it. And now, take one step across the threshold. Not a dramatic step, just one quiet, deliberate step. As you do, notice this. The ground on the other side feels exactly the same as the ground on this side. But the version of you standing on it is not the same. That version walked through the season and is now on the other side of everything the tests were pointing toward. Stay there for a moment. Do not rush past it. Let it be as real as it is. That image is not imagination, reaching for something distant. That is recognition of something that has already arrived, and you are allowed to live from it now. Chosen one. I want to acknowledge something before we seal this. What you walked through to arrive at this message was not small. The testing seasons were real. They cost you something that most people in your life will never fully understand. And you did not leave. You are not alone in this completion. In this moment, across every place where someone is listening to this message, there are others who walked the same kind of invisible path, arriving at the same threshold. You are part of something much larger than your own story. And now I want to release you from something. From the weight of the identity that the survival season built, the version of you calibrated for difficulty, guarded against disappointment, always braced for what might come next. That version served you faithfully. It carried you through every test. But it is no longer the version that leads. The connections being drawn into your path at this level, the sacred partnerships and alignments being prepared for the revealed version of you, what some call destiny's embrace, belong to the person who has stepped through the door, not the one still waiting outside it. Let the surviving version rest. It has earned that rest. You are not someone who survived a season. You are someone the season was building all along. You are not waiting for access to the level that opened. You are the level that opened. You are qualified. You are revealed. You are ready. And I hear the source declaring over you in this moment. The season of being formed is complete. What I built in you in the quiet places was not built to stay quiet. This is your time, and the door is open. Walk through. Take a breath. Let what was spoken settle into the deepest part of where you are right now. Do not rush past this moment. What was spoken over you today does not expire when these words end. It moves with you. Into every room you enter from this point forward. Into every decision that comes. Into every morning. You wake up on the other side of the season you survived. You are committed. You are commissioned. You are sent. If what was spoken over you today is something that someone in your life needs to hear, someone who has been walking through a quiet, invisible season, they cannot explain to the people around them. Let your response carry this to them. If it landed for you, let that be known, not for a number, because someone else at the same threshold tonight needs this to find them. If this is the kind of space you want to remain close to, where messages like this one are prepared and released, stay connected. More words are being prepared for the season that is ahead of you now. And if someone came to mind while you were listening today, someone who has been unusually quiet, someone carrying something they have not been able to put into words, someone who passed something and has never been told what it means, share this with them. It may be exactly the confirmation they have been waiting for, without knowing what they were waiting for. And finally, type "I walked through" in the comments if you are stepping into this season with both feet. Seal it right now. This message was placed in front of you today for a reason. That reason is real. Go.